B. And
What do you think is the thing that enabled you guys to make this shot look this way?
If you don't know about Beau Pritchard James, you need to know, because he's the best in the business. If you're going to use that equipment, you just need the best person you can to make the most of it. There's no point having it if you're not going to be able to use it to its fullest potential. I mean, I hope you are aware that, you know, there's a decent chunk of that which is VFX. Because it's like, if you were going to try and do that, you know, fire the water directly into the camera, suddenly then you've got an AR rig, high frame per second camera, probe lens, and then some sort of spinner, like spinning thing to stop the rain hitting that lens. I was thinking about it so much, and I really went round and round and round, like, because it's an expensive lens as well.
Listen, most of us are aware of the Laowa probe lens and the miracle that those are, but this is not that. So honestly, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah, so why would you use that instead of the probe? The main reason is that
Rowan Biddiscombe,
you got it.
all you have to do is sit back and answer questions and chat.
Uh-oh. Do I have to answer them well? Is that important?
No, you don't have to answer them well at all. Let's get right into this thing, man. Thanks so much for joining the podcast. I'm excited to break this down with you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
What is it? What are we looking at here?
I mean, how deep do you want me to go with that question?
As deep as you'd like, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's a commercial for a whiskey brand that I shot with two very good friends of mine who are great directors that I met through film, but they then became good friends. And we've shot many projects together, and I just think this was a project that, you know, it started off as a, you know, you get that message that says, oh, we're going to do this whiskey thing, and it might be in Scotland, and then you start just talking about how you could make it more interesting, what you could do to just make it pop. They work really well together because Giles brings this very impactful, likes to kind of hit you in the face. So yeah, Giles is on the right-hand side, Widge is on the left-hand side. They're my boys.
Wow, 3 men of harmony here, I can see.
Yeah, it's a strong picture, that one. And we just were talking about how we can make something that was cool. It was literally that simple. Like, how do we make a guy in Scotland drinking some whiskey? How do we make that look interesting and impressive, I guess? Some of the initial references, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it is like probably one of the all-time great ads, which is the Guinness commercial.
To your dream. The old sailors return to the bar. Here's to you, Ahab! And the fat drummer hit the beat with all his heart.
I think if you made a list of like top 10 commercials of all time, it should definitely be in there. It's just a very impactful commercial, which I think these days you don't really have those that much. But it's really, really powerful. But black and white, there's a lot of water in it. There's just very striking features on the main character and the kind of other people in there, which we just wanted to give homage to that, really, with this piece, this one in particular. And I think in the end, we managed to get there. And I think, interestingly, the impact that it has had, which always surprises me when I post these things online, and you never know whether somebody's going to people just don't care, or whether it just catches people. This one in particular, the shot where, you know, it's a push in on his face and the water's all coming past, and I think it really just got people. I don't know, it's funny.
It did, man. It did. I mean, honestly, when I saw this, I was like, okay, we're doing something very interesting here. And a big thing I want to do today is figure out what you guys did to bring this to life. When we posted it to our Instagram, it went borderline viral. People love it, honestly.
That's what we're here for, man. Got to go viral.
I guess. I mean, we'll talk about other logistics. We'll get into the weeds of things, but let's just look at this shot. What do you think is the thing that enabled you guys to make this shot look this way?
I mean, there's a lot of things that made it look this way. I think one thing that I was really happy that I pushed for in the beginning, because we were originally going to shoot this, originally it was going to end up being Alexa Mini with just a Laowa probe. That's what it was going to be. Maybe Mini LF. But then you get into the issue of frame rates. If you go LF, which I knew that with the probe, we needed it to be wide. But if you go Alexa Mini and the probe, it isn't that wide because it's a 24mm lens. And it doesn't feel very wide. So if you go with a Mini LF, then it is wider, but your max frame rate is 40 frames per second at like open gate. Because I think we wanted to shoot this 4:3 from the beginning. So you're very restricted there. So then it was like, okay, so should we shoot this on a high frame rate camera? The budget wasn't massive. So I had worked with the Freefly Ember before and was like, oh, that could be a good option for this. And you will learn this from me, probably from this chat, that I'm the kind of guy that's like, oh, I know a guy that's got one of those and I can just get it for, not a lot of money. I help a lot of people out with things and I get favors back. So I knew I could get that camera, but then I was also stuck with the whole wide aspect of it. And I had seen the Optex Excellence system before. I've used a few different things like that. Like I've used the, what's the T-Rex, that one where you can like do that with it, but you can put your own lenses on the end. I can't remember what brand makes that one. But anyway, I'd seen this one, but I hadn't actually used it, and I just thought, well, maybe now. Maybe, sorry, I was laughing at Luke. I mean, obviously you and Luke are impressed with this thing. I am. Listen, most of us are aware of the Laowa probe lens and the miracle that those are, especially the newer ones that go down to a T8, right? But this is not that. No,
and this
exactly.
is not that. So honestly, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah, so why would you use that instead of the probe? The main reason is that, number one, it's got a wider aperture, so you let more light into the lens. I think maybe it's 5.6, which at that point, you're getting to sort of normal T-stop territory, where, you'd be happy to be at that T-stop. You're not thinking, oh, I'm making a sacrifice here because I'm using this bloody probe. But in this instance, what's really cool about it is that it's got interchangeable ends. So the one we actually used is the 10mm. So it's a 10mm attachment on the end of that probe system.
Got it.
As you can imagine, all that means is that you're super wide, but you can also get really close to things. And originally, I think the reason we did that is because when we did our recce, we'd done quite a few shots with an iPhone where we were on, super wide angle on the iPhone and just sort of running it up the arm like that. And on an iPhone, that's really easy. It's like, great, I can do that, no problem. But when you start doing it with a proper camera and you're putting it on a Steadicam and whatever, that just becomes obviously more difficult. So doing it this way was I was thinking about it so much, and I really went round and round and round, because it's an expensive lens as well. And I don't know if I mentioned, but it was a nice. It was, depending on who's watching this video, it's a nice budget to have. But we're not talking a 500 grand budget video. It's not that. It's small budget, I think, really, for what the end result was. So to get that lens system, it's like a big decision that isn't just like, oh, should we get that lens system and try it? It had to be the right choice, and it had to be the right thing, because if it didn't work, then we'd be kind of screwed, really.
Yeah, and let me tell you, it worked. I think this whole piece honestly hinges. What stands out to me is the images that you guys created with this lens. But beyond the lens, You guys took a Steadicam approach. I mean, look at this guy. Come on.
I know. If you don't know,
My God.
if you don't know about Bo Pritchard James, you need to know because he's the best in the business.
Yeah, it looks like that. Even if he's faking it, it looks like he's the best in the business. I mean, he's using the force right now to move his.
You know, it is worth me mentioning, you know, when you start getting onto the kind of projects, and again, it depends who's watching this, but when you start getting to the kind of projects where having kit like that is needed, because obviously you can say, oh, well, I could do it on a gimbal or I could do this, that, or the other. If you're going to use that equipment, you just need the best person you can to make the most of it. It's again like that lens. It's that there's no point having it if you're not going to be able to use it to its fullest potential. And I think having someone like Bo, he's very, very precise. He takes his job very, very seriously. And I think he's one of the only people I know that can do those kinds of moves consistently and, yeah, in a repeatable way, and can make small adjustments to just, he understands what you're trying to get, basically. You don't need to tell him, oh, that doesn't look good, or, oh, you know, that's not what we're thinking. He's kind of an extension of us, basically, which is cool. And I've used him on tons of projects, and he's always just such a pleasure to have around. So, and he wears a beret, which is 10 out of 10 in my eyes.
Hey, okay, so you guys.
For what it's worth, in that thing, just while we're looking at it, sorry to interrupt you there. I am actually operating the role of that. So I'm watching on a monitor. I mean, I think I was actually filming this with my phone and operating the role at the same time.
Nice. Okay.
But so that's something. So I could watch as he was moving up, and I was kind of rotating the camera at you know the right time to do it. Which obviously, because we're shooting high frames per second, I had to rotate the camera quite quickly for it to all make sense in the end.
Yeah, totally. How many shots? How many tries did you go at this one?
I don't know. Not that many. Like it was the thing that took time was like we started messing around with getting the water in there because our VFX guy, who's added a lot of the water droplets here, he said it was very important to have real water for him to kind of model like the additional water droplets on top. He needed some, just real stuff to work with. So that's why we had our spray mist thing, which gave him a really good base. And I think it just makes it look more real in the end.
Yeah, 100%. What's crazy is that when I see our water person back here spraying water, it just, I mean, in this behind the scenes video, I can't even really see the water, but in the final shot, I mean, it looks like the ocean itself is roaring over him.
I mean, I hope you are aware that, you know, there's a decent chunk of that which is VFX. Like, I hope that is clear to you.
Some of this water is VFX?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think there's like that sideways bit that's like coming towards us, right towards the camera. That is absolutely VFX. Like more
but
of
this
the
background stuff.
And the background stuff, basically the idea of the video was that we've got this guy sitting on this cliff, it's beautiful weather, and then as he drinks his whiskey, all of the water is kind of surrounding him. So a lot of these things, it's a combination. Some of them had more of our real water in them than others, but obviously that is a VFX shot. You know, he's on the edge of a cliff.
Definitely.
So yeah, so I think like one of the ones where there's more, the one where we're looking quite straight up, that's a lot of real water in there. That's pretty much all real. I think the one where it's really close on his face, I would say 50% of that is real. And then 50% of that is, because it's like, if you were going to try and do that, you know, fire the water directly into the camera, suddenly then you've got an AR rig, a high frame per second camera, probe lens, and then some sort of spinner, like spinning thing to stop the rain hitting that lens. It would just be an insane setup.
Oh, interesting. So all of this water that's kind of hitting the lens isn't real?
I would say no. No. Gotcha. Because a lot of our water was coming down from above on that shot in particular. And to do that would have been, you know, even when you watch it now, you watch it slow, you can see that it's like, well, where's that coming from, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And so even like the water reflection in his eyes, that's post VFX as well.
Yeah. They would have added that in there too. Yeah. But that's exactly why I think having that, and it's a really good thing to talk about, because I think having those conversations beforehand with the VFX team, sort of saying, well, how do we make this look as real as possible? Because the fact that you're even asking me those questions is amazing. That's testament to how we kind of prepped it and they executed it, that I think is great. It's blending those two things together to make them feel real, which is cool.
I think any filmmaker knows that it does come down to the very tiny details. And I think that knowing those very tiny details is which water drop is real or not, I think gives context behind how the heck you guys made this thing what it is.
Yeah, totally. I think one of the other, you were kind of asking me some other things that make it look the way it does. I didn't really get round to it, but with regards to the lens, just before we move off of that, one of the really cool things with that 10mm is because it's so wide, it has this really, a really natural, interesting distortion at the edges, where it's kind of blurred out towards the edges naturally.
Cool.
And it's something that I actually have tried many times with various degrees of success to add onto other lenses, kind of not in post, but using filters or using like diopters or whatever to give that kind of effect. And it never quite works. But as soon as we put that 10mm on that Optex Excellence and started looking at it, I was like, yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Don't change anything.
Yeah, good to know. I mean, while we're talking about distortion, we're getting it for sure with this lens, because this guy is the same guy as this guy. I mean, which is crazy.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, really mad. Yeah, it's amazing how it really changes the shape. I'm sure you've seen, those videos where they have all the different lenses and how it changes someone's face. But yeah, that's a really good example there, I think, of how different it can look.
Yeah.
But he's just got
100%.
like an amazing face. I think it's one of those things, and I talk about it a lot, where it's all good and well being a cinematographer that knows where to put lights, knows how to make things look good, but without an amazingly textured, interesting face, it doesn't mean anywhere near as much. So it's like as much kudos goes to the people who are finding these people.
It does come down to what you put in front of the camera. It just does.
He's a legend, by the way, Miguel. What a guy. Yeah. Doesn't speak any English, full Spanish.
Close in the eye. That's it.
Sí, no,
y al final haces como así.
No tanto beber como mirar.
So he's like, not that much drinking, it's only like, it's more the sight.
Yes, you always are sipping, always.
Pero sí, siempre estás como...
Sí, a ti, yo.
Yeah, definitely a variable on set. Yeah. Speaking of on set, let's talk about this location, how you guys got to it. I can imagine the logistics involved.
Yeah. Do you know what? My mum messaged me yesterday saying, "Oh, when did you get a dog?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Oh, I saw you driving that tractor with the dog on the back." I was like, "What are you talking about? That's obviously not me." It's like, you're my mum. You should know this.
You should know, yeah. This dog is surfing though, man. I saw this clip, and
it was doing that all day long. It was amazing. It's a really beautiful spot, and I would recommend anyone to get over to any of those islands off the side of Scotland. For example, what's the other big one that's over there? The Isle of Skye. You ever heard of that?
No.
So the Isle of Skye is where they shot quite a lot of scenes for some of the Star Wars movies, and it has that real kind of otherworldly green, sort of big weird shapes, and it is just natural beauty at its finest. And this is kind of one of those islands, basically. So you go up to Scotland, you fly to Glasgow, drive over to the coast, and then take a ferry across to this place. But we were also really lucky because the company that we were shooting for, Ardbeg, it is based in that place. You know what I mean? Like, it is
nice.
That's where their brewery is. They brew the whiskey there on that island.
That's incredible.
So they were able to say to us, oh, there's actually some cool spots. Maybe you should go and check them out and see if they could, be useful. And I went up there with Giles probably a month before we were shooting and just kind of wandered around that area. And immediately when we got to that spot, we were like, yep, that's a spot. Don't really need to think about that too much. I mean, it was funny because even to get to that point, we were driving around and we started driving up this road and 2 locals came chasing after us saying, what the bloody hell do you guys think you're doing? We're like, oh, somebody told us there was a cool spot up here. And they said, if you go up there, you will literally not be able to come back. Your car will get stuck and you'll never return. I was like, okay, thanks for telling us. And they actually
so, I mean, okay, you hear that from a local. Does anything in your head pop off as, well, maybe this isn't our spot because of that?
No, that makes it more exciting.
Nice.
Because all they were saying is that if you go up in your car, that's going to be a big problem for you. But if we were hiking, for example, those islands, they're made for hiking. They're made for, walking around them and exploring. And that's what the people of Scotland do. They've actually got a thing called the right to roam, which allows people to walk wherever they want, which is amazing. Which obviously in America, you get bloody shot for doing that.
Yeah,
whereas in
incredible.
Scotland,
yeah,
it's literally your right to go anywhere that's like natural beauty.
That's
Amazing.
insane. Yeah, if I step
really,
into my neighbor's backyard, I'm worried about what might happen to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a huge crew. Are you using any modifiers for light? Did you have anyone for grip?
You
Or
know
are you
what?
just letting
Mother Nature do her work. I think we did have some frames and stuff, but I actually feel like we were just extremely, extremely lucky at that moment that we had, that perfect time where it should be sunny, but there's just a very thin layer of cloud that just naturally diffuses it just at the right moment. So I think in the end, I think you might be right. I don't think we even did use any special stuff there at all.
That's amazing.
That in particular. I could be wrong, maybe on that close-up. I know that on the straight-on close-up, there was a lot more stuff going on. We had diffusion, neg, maybe a sort of bounce from the back. I can't really remember, but we definitely crafted that a bit more. That one. We crafted that
one, yeah.
more, but that's actually shot in a completely different location at a completely different time of the day. That one had more work that went into it than the other ones.
Yeah.
The other ones were more a matter of positioning, and the frame did so much of our job for us.
Okay, so you're not bringing up 12 by frames up there, but at the same time, you have a crew, and what was your approach to getting the small crew that you did have up there?
Well, in the end, it was, I can't remember how long it was. It was maybe a 25, 30-minute walk up the mountain from where all the kind of base camp was. There was the kind of quad bike thing. Yeah, we had Luke with the backpack rig. I don't know if you ever saw what that backpack is from, where I had have you ever seen that video where I had the Ronin 2 on the back of there?
No. Oh, you know what? I did see that video. Can we talk about this, man? Because, Rowan, the amount of mountains I've climbed with a heavy camera on my shoulder, stupidly, and never even considered something as simple as this. I mean, it's insane. This is incredible.
Somebody on Instagram deserves the credit for me having that backpack thing and using it in this way, because I used it with that Ronin 2, and then when we did this project, I was like, you know what? I'll just chuck the weird backpack cage thing in the van. Maybe it's useful. And then we got there, and it was like, you got to hike up that bloody mountain. And then, strap that bad boy on, and off we went. Luke, the assistant, he just, he basically just says yes to every crazy idea I have. So he's the real MVP in a lot of my projects, and he needs to be shouted out.
Yeah, shout out Luke. I've been that guy. I've been the PI, the PA that says, "Hey, carry this thing up the mountain."
Yeah, but he's the kind of guy that's like, "Can I carry it up the mountain?" He's like, "Please, let me." Yeah.
Oh God, I love that.
But yeah, so obviously it was a lot of people to get up there, but not, we're not talking 100 people to get up there. In the end, I think, the crew might have been 15, maybe 15, 20 max. But yeah, we used that little quad bike thing in the trailer to to get all the kit up there. Which again, we were pretty lean, and I knew we were going to be on the side of a mountain. It would have hurt us more to have too much kit. So I think I think if the weather had looked different on that day, then I would have brought more kit up with us. But I think I could see from the weather conditions in the morning. I don't know what that photo is from, but it's not from this project.
That's not you?
No, I feel like that's Rick. He's a really good DOP as well. You know, you should.
No, thanks for calling that out. I pulled it off Instagram. We'll continue.
He does look a bit
like
like
our editor cut this out. Yeah,
we're all very generic DPs, aren't we? We all look the same.
Hey, you're not wearing glasses, which is a huge. You know, you got that going.
I can find some. You know, I can find some glasses if you want.
Well, dude, Rowan, anything else about this project? Like, what little thing did you guys labor over that no one would really notice?
What did we labor over? I think for me, more than anything in this project, the labor was really, and actually the technical side beforehand of like, how can I get a shot that looks like that? Because there was nobody really I could ask in particular about that. And I think it was just a matter of me wanting to try the Optex set, and I knew what it could be good for. I knew what the lengths were. I think it was like that time spent figuring out that whole process. And I think, you know, it's all, I can sit here and say, oh, you know, we did this thing, that and the other. But at the end of the day, on a project like this, which was small, a lot of that research and discovery, and even like contacting the company to get it, One Stop, who really helped us out, get a good deal on that system. That was a lot of work, actually. And it's weird because you kind of think that doesn't sound like the difficult bit, but that bit turns into a week of messing around, like on different like blogs or looking at other videos where they've used it, and with the Ember, is that going to work? You know, there was so much time spent kind of thinking about that stuff that really on the day, it was a matter of, wow, that looks sick. Like, yeah, let's do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's so much easier.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Personally, as a DP, I find it really easy on the day to be like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. Oh, we can change this. And that isn't the hard bit for me. It's the bit beforehand, making sure that we've got the right stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and why do you do that? You do that because you can't take chances. You have to do everything you can in order to set yourself up to have a shot like this, to be able to play around with it. You know, because if you miss, I think you know that if you miss one detail in prep, one adapter, one bit, you know, the rods are wrong, something, then that can really, you can shoot yourself in the foot, the whole thing falls apart.
Particularly when you're in a bloody island off the side of Scotland, you can't get anything, literally.
Yeah, 100%.
So that would have been I think the most trickiest thing for me. And then outside of that, the trickiest, outside of that, I would say the actual finishing of the project was tricky. Because there was this blend of the live action and the VFX, getting that to just work and look real. Giles and Widge hate me because they don't. They love me, obviously. But when they come to me and they say, hey, what do you think about this? I am the worst person for saying, I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is like good enough. I'm not saying that they think it's good. I think because they're the directors and they're sat in the edit, and I'm sure tons of directors would agree with this, that you're too absorbed by it and you're too kind of in the project, and you start to lose your bearings on whether it's good or not, or does this feel real, or does this feel cheap, or whatever. So often when they'll come to me, it's at that point where I have the awkward job of saying, I actually don't think that looks good. and you can listen to me or not, and sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. I think they're really, really good with that. But I think in this particular instance, it just needed more work than I think we kind of thought it would in the beginning. We kind of thought it might just all tie together a bit easier. So I'm really happy as well that they pushed as hard as they did to, particularly that main shot is really beautiful, and I think a lot of time and effort did go into that. But just getting it all to tie together, have the right sound, the right visual, the right color grade in the end, and yeah. You like black and white. I've seen your black and white work before. It's incredible, man. It's just easy, isn't it? It's easy. Yeah.
Is it though? I mean, is there anything you do that makes black and white really sing?
Yeah. I think I do like it. I think it makes you focus on things other than the color. It comes down to contrast more, doesn't it? It's kind of all about the contrast of things. That's essentially all it is. And I think that can be fun to work with. What I will say is that in this instance, it was obviously an artistic choice. That looks cool. But number two, it actually really benefited us from a technical standpoint using the Ember, which I'm not saying that Ember doesn't have good color, but I think in the scheme of things, that's not what it's known for. And I think if we were in a more controlled environment, then I think we would have said, if we were in a more controlled environment, I don't think I would have been thinking, doing black and white will actually help us out here. Does that make sense? Like, because it's such a high contrast, it's a high contrast environment shooting outside like that, very dark, very bright, particularly on a sunny day, that something like the Ember, which doesn't have massive dynamic range, is a risky move. It could end up looking very 2005 video camera vibe, which I just think, I was worried about that. And I did think, is this a bad idea to be doing this in this situation? But luckily I'd used it before and had good results. So I kind of knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing little camera, and I don't know if you used it before, but for what it is,
I've never used it. But yeah, again, it's like when you start comparing it to the Alexa Mini or something like that, there are differences big time with color and
yeah, totally. But it is quite amazing how they made a camera that it does do such high frame rates. It's really small, and it's actually really, really easy to use. There's barely any settings on it, and even to just shoot stuff and play it back and scrub it to the point that you want, it's really good compared to a Phantom where you're dealing with like a tech and you're dealing with like the buffering and the whatever. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing our accessibility to tools like this. I mean, 10 years ago, can you imagine having to do this with your guys' budget and it needing to be a Phantom because it was really one of the only things around?
Yeah,
you know?
And then you're lugging those guys halfway up the mountain as well. And yeah, exactly. That's when it does end up being a 500 grand commercial because of all those logistics just get totally out of control.
Yeah. Well, dude, what's next for you? What are you stoked on?
I would say, what am I working on? I'm working on just having a good time and enjoying what I do. I think it's a pretty difficult, and I don't mean that in a really corny way, like, I just want to be happy, live, laugh, love. All I mean is that it's a weird time in the industry. I think anybody that's in this industry would say it was a bit of an awkward time. Some people haven't worked for months. Some people are just struggling with the inconsistency of things. It's a bit of a roller coaster. So I think I'm trying to keep the love for an industry that maybe doesn't love its workers. Do you know what I mean by that?
No, I know what you mean.
Particularly right now, we're talking about AI and whatever, like, not to get into a conversation about that, but you can't help feeling like there's quite a lot of people surrounding our industry that would be quite happy to see it. I don't know, like, it feels like they're kind of quite happy to see it be destroyed. Particularly from an AI point of view, it feels like they just don't care. They're like, good, all you guys will be out of work, good. So I think if you spend too much time thinking about that, it could really bum you out. And I think all I'm trying to do is just on every project, try to do something I haven't done before, try to do something that I just find interesting, exciting, that's risky, that I can be proud of, and not get too bogged down in the nitty gritties of being an artist or something.
Yeah, it gets complicated now more than ever. I mean, the top comment on this post when we featured it was, "It's sad that my first thought was, is this AI?" You know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think personally, I'm the kind of person. I mean, I definitely get branded as quite an optimist, even though I can be quite a pessimistic person about things. That's a weird combination of things, but I'm generally optimistic. And in that situation, I really like I like the phrase or saying of, you know, a problem is always just an opportunity in disguise. And I think that's true. Like when I look at like AI and all the stuff around that and people, you know, people kind of not believing something, I think, oh, that's AI. For me, that's why I think it's cool to make a project, show the behind the scenes, and people say, wow, you actually did that for real. And I think that excites me, that's interesting. And it's also the best I can do. Do you know what I mean? I can't do any more than that.
Dude.
If it turns out that that isn't good enough, well, like, bloody hell, I tried my best.
Well, Rowan, dude, thanks so much for that wisdom. I honestly could not agree more. So thank you so much.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that.
Cheers. That was fun. I think we did it.
Yeah? Cool.
This show is made possible in part by viewers like you, and obviously Frameset, which is where you go to develop your ideas before you shoot them. Search for the perfect references and use them to build a pitch that will win you the project of your dreams. It's also totally free to get started, so check the link below. Okay, thanks.